What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of On the Mic with Michael Flix, right here and only on Dream Radio. That's right, only right here on Dream Radio. This episode is brought to you by Central San Diego Black Chamber of Commerce. If your business has been affected by COVID and could use relief assistance, visit www.sandiego.blackchamber.org to see if you qualify. Now let's start the show. I'm here with the first two-time guest on the Mic with Michael Flix. This man has had quite the exciting past few year, quite an exciting year. Actually, my guy Otto Landrum is back on the show. Thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great,
Now, I don't think I've seen you or spoken to you since the CIF championship game. So let's take it back to the last interview then. So last time I spoke to you, you were playing for the prep school up in Veritas,
Yeah.
and doing the grind session thing. In that time, you've played your junior year at Torrey Pines, won a CIF championship, and committed to a D1 college. So I've had
a very, very, very interesting last year.
For sure. So what was take me through it a little bit more. What was so you had played on a, pardon me, I'm getting ahead of myself. You got undefeated. Torrey Pines went undefeated all the way to the championship.
Yep.
Talk to me about how special that season was.
That might have been the most special team in California history, in my opinion. We were just perfect at everything. It was sort of like a weird thing. We had Nick Herman, who just signed at Cal State Northridge, who was one of the best basketball players I've ever seen. Chris Howe is going to St. Mary's, one of the best basketball players I've ever seen. Diego Camposada, who's going to Northern Arizona now, great basketball player. We all just sort of like knew each other, and I feel like that caused a lot of good things to happen with us.
And see, that's one of the things I was going to say. Watching you guys play, I think I was going to say watch, but I mean, I was filming and covering, so I mean, I did watch it as well. And actually, your games, the games that I cover, I actually watched twice when you include editing and everything. But anyway, so I believe I watched about 4 or 5 of you guys' games last year, and watching and filming, and even filming during time, getting in the huddle during timeouts and stuff. It seemed like you guys were a team that just loved being around each other, loved hanging out together, and then you were really good, so it made it doubly special. And see, I've you gonna say something?
No.
I've played on teams where, like, I can think back to some of the teams that I played on, and some of my favorite teams weren't necessarily, the best teams that I played on or won a championship or had this crazy season or even a super good record or anything like that, you know what I mean? But you guys were able to have a really, really good team that you guys played well on the court, and you guys really loved each other and hung out off the court.
Yeah, we spent so much time off the court together, like even during COVID, before we even knew we were going to have a season. Like, we spent so much time with each other. And before we even knew we had a season, we would practice in like people's backyards, or we'd go to like a court and we would all just like work on stuff that we knew we had to get better at with our coaches too. And it really caused us to have like this really like unbreakable bond. Like, we still all talk to each other every day. And with that, the reason why we were so good is because nobody was selfish around each other. Sometimes you'll see somebody get really selfish during a game where they're killing it. And, like, you can't really say that because Nick Herman would have 38 and he wouldn't say a word about him having 38 afterwards. And it was sort of like a thing where it's like nobody was really coming after one another.
That's really dope, man. And see, like I said, I was just assuming, because obviously I only see you guys during the game. So I was only assuming that you guys had that type of camaraderie, but I assumed, I knew it. I didn't know you guys were practicing in each other's backyards and all that, but I could just tell that all of you guys really loved each other and enjoyed hanging out together. I could tell that. And so you guys, like I said, you guys go undefeated all the way to the CIF championship and win the CIF championship in dramatic fashion. Shout out to Nick Herman. Hit a crazy, unbelievable shot at the buzzer to win the game. I was actually telling my brother about it. That shot to me was so super legendary because it saved the undefeated season, it won the game, and gave him 30 points. On top of everything that he had already been through. You know what I mean? But just that shot in and of itself, why it was so dope was those 3 things. Tell me what you were thinking as the shot went up.
The first thing I was thinking was, like, if you watch the tape back, I was wide open right under the rim. Like, I could have had a shot too, but we don't talk about that anymore because Nick Herman hit a half court, pretty much a half court shot per game.
Right.
But you can see me, I'm under the basket and he shoots it. I already knew it was going in. Right as he shot it. I thought the first one he shot before we got out of bounds, it was going in. I have so much faith in him shooting that, like, I knew it was going in. So you see me sprinting already. I started sprinting before the shot even went in, so I could get to the same spot that he was going to. And right as he hit it, like, I'm jumping up and down. We're sprinting. We get in that little group, and we just we finally realized all this hard work that we had like finally paid off. And for Herm, like that's probably one of the biggest moments. It probably is the biggest moment of his life. Because that's just such an unbelievable thing. And he always talked about it, too. When I used to shoot with him, he's like, watch this. This is exactly what I'm going to do during the CIF Finals game. I'm going to hit a buzzer beater. And I was like, okay.
Nice.
It's okay. I always joke about it. And I was like, okay, yeah. And then he finally did it. And it was really incredible.
That's dope. That's dope, man. For me, watching him, this is your interview, but we're going to talk about Nick for a quick second. For me, it was dope watching all of that because I was under the baseline, the opposite end of where he hit the shot from. And so obviously I go down onto the court so I can capture all the celebration and everything. For me, it was it was dope to watch Nick celebrate like that because you saw all the emotions like change, and then it finally just like he like had nothing left. He's just like, I'm exhausted. Like I played a whole game. I just went like an emotional roller coaster after hitting the shot. But it was dope to see him like any athlete hits the shot, pumped up, flexing. I'm better than the whole world. And then it's just happy, like yeah, we finally did it. And then it's just like overcome with tears. And it was dope. It was dope to see. I actually watched that tape like maybe 4 extra times just to watch that. It was so dope. I'm getting the chills even right now just talking about it. It was a super dope moment, man. Super dope moment. And it's funny that you say you were open under the basket because that was one of the first things I said when I was editing. And like I said, I watched it like 5 times, and I, even like I was gonna like do it a slow mo, but I was like, no, I'm gonna do it in real time so people can get exactly what happened. I saw you under the basket. I was like, dude, it was wide open. And so, how many? So you guys win the CIF championship game. How many more games did you play before the season ended? It was like 2 more.
Before like the end of the season,
yeah.
before state.
No. So before your final, so you lost to Etowanda in state, right?
So we got the first round bye. So we were ranked number 1 in San Diego or California because Corona Centennial dropped out of the state playoff to go play in Section 7. I think they would have been ranked higher than us if we were like to go into the thing again. Which don't get me into the politics of being at LA school versus San Diego school.
Yeah, it's real.
And so we get a first round bye because they dropped out of it. And I remember just the practice after, like, so we take 2 days off because we just won a CIF title, and our coach wanted to give us some rest because pretty much all the starters played the entire game. And we come back the next day, and our school had a power outage. So we're trying to practice at like 5 o'clock at night. Our floor gets super humid without air conditioning, and I just remember like Coach Olive was like, he wasn't mad, but I think he was super nervous because he knew this team was like super special. We could really win a state title, from first team to win a state title in San Diego. And just everything was just going wrong for us right as we got it. And so that was like that's what I can really remember, is that we like had to persevere through that. Even after winning a CIF title, we were still really nervous for every single game that was like to come ahead.
And so you're going into your senior year now, coming off a really, I mean, you started obviously, but it had really, really good numbers as a junior. So you're going into your senior year now. And I would assume that even if you're not like labeled or named the team captain, I would assume you're going to have an elevated role as far as like, an elevated leadership role. What in that role, do you think you'll be more of like kind of, you think you'll be a vocal leader, or you think you'll be more of kind of just like lead by example?
Already practicing with my team, I try to be as vocal as possible. We have a lot of young kids on this team this year. We only have like, I think 3 seniors. So being 3 seniors, like you sort of have to teach all the youngins, especially with how strict our offense is and how like we do stuff so specifically, like what to really do. And so I try to be really vocal about that and talk about it as much as possible with people I know. And that's how I'm going to try to really lead this year. And, of course, I'm going to lead by example. But I think being vocal is way more important than leading by example.
I agree. Have you been a team captain before?
I was a captain with Game Point when I played AAU, but I've never been a captain of like a middle school team because I didn't really play in middle school. And high school, I've just been so much younger than everybody while I was playing that I've never really had that opportunity to.
I've only been a team captain once, and it was in Pop Warner. And I mean, and high school is way different than the competitive level and how much is expected. It's way different. But when I played, I was always like a rah guy, and I was really vocal even when I wasn't supposed to be, even when I wasn't a leader. I was always like, bro, what are you doing? Like I was that dude anyway. And so I know for me, like transitioning into like the guy who people are looking at as kind of like the steady, like for motivation and as the steady. And like I said, again, this is only in Pop Warner, but my dad was really like on me about like, okay, you're a captain, like take this serious, like you're a leader. You know what I mean? So for me, I had to learn how to like be more even. Because like I said, I was the type that, and I always had coaches. I was like, what are you dropping the ball for? You missed your, like, you know what I mean? So that was pretty much how I did it. But then when you're the team captain and you're used to being super duper competitive, you may have kids on your team that, you know, may not want it as bad as you do, or they just don't compete in the same way as you do. I definitely had to find an even flow with it. So that was why I asked that. So like I said when we first opened the interview, you just committed to a Division I school, Boston University.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you. I love Boston. It was the best place I could have chosen. It was awesome.
Why is that?
When I went there, I was down to really just 3 schools. I was down to pretty much Boston, Montana, and I was talking to Lipscomb University in like Nashville. And right as I went to Boston, I made it my earliest one. Like they wanted me to get on campus right as school started, so I could see everyone, could see everybody. And right as I landed in Boston, I sort of knew it was the place I wanted to be. It was just perfect. It fit my personality perfectly. Walking around campus the next day, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is awesome. Like this is the best place. But I love the coaching staff there too. Coach Jones, the head coach, couldn't ask for a better head coach. He's a guy that you sort of just want to be around even when he's not a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Wilson, the coach that sort of recruited me the most, he's the most funny dude. He's really wholesome. He talks about his family a lot. He loves his family, and you sort of see that throughout the rest of my tour. Like it's all about family, and that team's all about family. And I just love that because that's sort of what I had at Torrey.
Nice, congratulations. I'm happy for you. I'm really happy to, you know what I mean. I was really interested to hear why you said it was a perfect fit, and obviously it's going to be a perfect fit athletically because that's the main reason why you're going there. But to hear you mention all those other things is really dope, man. You're a wholesome kid, man. Check you out. So what if they told you about your opportunities to play as a freshman and everything?
They've said I'm gonna really have to compete, but there's only gonna be 2 forwards when I go into my class. That's at least what they're thinking with people with COVID years. They can all switch around, but I'm really confident in myself that I could get some good minutes as a freshman, and I think I can compete heavily to try to get a starting spot my freshman year. No offense to any of my future teammates. It's just how I am. I'm really competitive. I'm really confident in myself with that. And I think I could make a really big impact for a school like this. Talked to a lot of people. They said I could make a big impact at a school like this. And I just love it. I love this sort of like not being an underdog, but being a mid-major school that if you make the tournament, everybody's going to count you out the first round. And I sort of want to be in that situation where we win a first-round game, and then everyone's like, oh, my goodness, Boston University won their first game. Like, that's sort of crazy. That's what I've really been thinking about.
Nice. That's dope, man. That's dope. Let's rewind a little bit and take it to high school. Back to you going into your senior year. Now, you guys lost some really, really key players. So what's the expectation looking like for your senior year, and what do you see the team doing next season or this coming season?
If I'm being honest as I can possibly be, I still think we're a CIF title team again. I love my team. I've played with these guys for a few years now. Even off the court, just playing pickup, I hang out with these people. I hang out with these people at like people's houses. I'll go play video games with them. I've just played Madden with one of my teammates last night for probably like 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I spend every living moment with my teammates, and it's sort of going to be the same bond thing where we're going to be super tight, and it's going to be really difficult to stop us because none of us are going to get mad at each other. We don't get mad at each other. And that's sort of when you see teams break down. They get mad at each other. They start like crumbling.
Mm-hmm.
I think our team doesn't have that.
Nice. You said video games for 4 hours. You a big gamer?
I'm not good at video games, but I play a lot of them.
I hear you. So. I was the same way. I was never really good at any game, I don't think. My older brother Stefan, he's always been sweet. Like any video game he touched, he's just a beast at it. And me, I'm like, I've always been kind of. What game was it? Tekken. Do you remember? Oh, you might be too young.
No, I'm too young.
I got really, really good at Tekken. That was the one game that I was good at. But other than that, and you see all these people now like making a lot of money playing video games. Now it's funny. I was listening to a podcast. Who was it? I forget the guy's name. They had a guest on. I forget his name. But he said his whole life, like all he did was play video games, and his parents would be like, "You're not gonna do anything with your life playing video games." And he said like now he literally has a friend that makes 6 figures a year playing video games, and he stopped because his parents made him stop. And he's like, I could be a millionaire right now if my parents would just let me play video games. What kind of stuff are you into off the court?
I play Madden mostly. I'm
Mm-hmm.
about to get 2K because all my friends play 2K, and sort of the
Mm-hmm.
thing
Mm-hmm.
you have to do as a basketball player. But besides that, I play chess a lot, like the board game chess. I play online. I have a pretty high elo rating. It's something I do a lot. It's just I sort of do stuff that makes time sort of slow down a little bit, and it sort of contributes to a lot of my game is like patience, and I can wait a little bit and I can see stuff further ahead, and it sort of helped me a lot, at least with chess.
Mm-hmm.
Madden, I get mad at the game, I start throwing my controller. But
When you say make time slow down a little bit, do you mean like while you're playing the actual game, or you just mean in general?
everything in general, like it sort of slows down because you have like a certain timer, but the timer is, you can makes you like speed up or you can slow down. And I
Mm-hmm.
play games where it makes me like think a little bit more and makes me think a little about how I can do stuff. And then you play the fast game and you have to think that same slow mindset, but you have to think it really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really helped me a lot with like my patience and stuff. And I've really appreciated chess for a really long time, but it's now sort of become a big part of my life.
Nice. Do you kind of take that same type of like thought out, meticulous approach to basketball, or do you kind of roll with the punches and take what the game is giving you?
I'm really a meticulous player. Like I sort of try to do stuff that makes my team like put it in a better situation, like go into statistics and like put it down to like percentages. And if I'm getting double teamed, I know this person can shoot 40%, so I'm trusting that they're gonna hit this one of the four out of
Mm-hmm.
10 times. It's
Mm-hmm.
something I really like trust on with that. And so like playing chess, it sort of like changed that for me. So I'm like, oh, I'm playing this slow thing. I'm playing for numbers here. And it's really weird just trying
Mm-hmm.
to compare a board game to putting it and making me a better basketball player, but it really has.
No, I believe it. I believe it. You are an interesting guy, man. What are you studying at Boston? What's your major?
So I'm going down. I'm sort of trying to cut it down. I'm talking to my parents about it, trying to see what like the best job fit if basketball stops for me, which I'm hoping it doesn't, would be outside of it. And Boston's one of the best business schools in the country, so it's always something that you think about is business. I'm thinking about sociology. I'm thinking about psychology. I'm just thinking about stuff that I know if I go out of basketball, I'll be able to make a decent amount of money with a Boston University degree and something that I would actually enjoy. So psychology, sports psychology, I could do something with basketball and stay with it.
Mm-hmm.
And business, I can help business like
Mm-hmm.
sports business.
For sure.
It's something I've really been considering. It's just trying to stay in the sport as long as I can.
Nice. Now you say you're hoping basketball doesn't stop, so the goal is to be a pro?
Yeah, of course.
Nice.
I think if you're going to play basketball at a D1 level or a D2 level or wherever you play, you want to keep playing as long as you physically
That's fair.
can.
That's fair.
You don't want the ball to ever stop bouncing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I always at whatever level it is, it always really puzzles me. When you hear their logical reason for not playing anymore, it makes sense. When like for me, when I hear of like standout players just stopping, I'm always like, bro, whoa, like what do you like my when I was in I think my sophomore year in high school, we had that I guess I won't say his name and do him like that. Everybody like looking at him crazy, but he was a star wide receiver at my high school my sophomore year. And actually, his brother was our quarterback. But he was really good, caught everything, ran amazing routes, went to college, and then just stopped. And then just stopped playing. And I heard that, I was like, what? And then when I spoke to him, he's like, yeah, man, I wanted to have a life. I'm like, what do you mean? And I did not, at the time, I didn't understand the grind that was being a college athlete and even more so being a football player.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And he was like, I just wanted a life, bro. Like, everything was football. I didn't have any free time. I couldn't hang out with my girl. I couldn't go get a job. I couldn't work. I couldn't do nothing but eat, sleep, and breathe football. And I've been doing that since Pop Warner, bro. I'm burnt out. I'm done. I was like, wow. And he was really good. And I was like, man, you never know what you could have done. You know what I mean? So that's why I asked. That's why. Because not everybody, and believe it or not, I have spoken to, like, I'll meet guys at the Drew League and I'll tell, like, oh, where you playing and how long you been playing it or whatever. Meet guys at pickup runs in Poway. And so many guys that are playing pro right now, they're like, bro, I never necessarily wanted to play pro. I didn't plan to play pro. It wasn't like a dream of mine. I wanted to go to school and I wanted to do it for free, and basketball was the way. And afterwards, I was able to keep going. And then you look at a guy like me who's like, yeah, I want to play in the NBA one day and barely make it out of high school. You know what I mean? So it's just different to see make it out of high school as far as basketball goes. It was easy to graduate from high school. Let me clarify that. that didn't come out the best. So what else do you do outside of chess, like off the court? What do you do?
I hang out with my family, hang out with friends, of course. That's something you always have to do. I live in not like a boring town or not boring part of San Diego, but like a part of San Diego where like I can't go and like go to a really nice place to eat without driving like 15, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So everything I do is with my friends or doing something like close with my friends. So like we have a neighborhood really close to ours that has a nice golf course, and I had to learn how to play golf. And so
You pretty good?
it's just I'm terrible. It's just trying to like find stuff to do.
Uh-huh.
I don't really stick to one thing that I do every day. It's pretty much I play like a few games of chess. I try to live stream it for a little bit, but chess live streams without audio are pretty boring to watch. So it's just trying to find fun wherever I can go. Playing basketball, of course, every day,
Mm-hmm.
multiple hours, but it's just sort of whatever I can do, I can do.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you and this will be my last question. I'll let you get out of here. What do you well, maybe I might think of some more and keep you in here. What are you expecting for your? I know you don't necessarily. You're not a guy who looks to like be the man or to stand out or anything like that. But have you set like any like personal goals for yourself for your senior year as far as like numbers you want to average or league MVPs or anything like that? Have you set any personal goals?
Of course I have. I think every player that at least is going to play at the next level has sort of set a goal for themselves to see how well they can do through their high school year so they can go into college knowing that they actually completed a lot of stuff in high school. And I've been looking at my numbers and what I put up last year and what I'm trying to like crunch the numbers, see what I could put up this year because I've 3 of the best scorers in San Diego not on my team anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, player of the year is always just an underlying thought of mine. I think I have a possible chance. One of my teammates, Devin Arlington, he's a really good player that I'm probably going to compete with heavily this year, trying to get player of the year numbers. CIF title, that's always something. As a Torrey Pines like basketball player, you always think of. We always make open division. We always get to the semis. It's sort of a toss-up if we're going to make finals or not. And
Mm-hmm.
if we make it to the finals, it's like a 50-50 shot that we're going to win it. So that's always something. And this year, I'm coming in with 500 points already scored in my career, so 1,000-point scoring is always something that I've thought about. And then I'm getting really close to beating the rebounding records for Torrey, so beating the rebounding record, cementing my name in that Torrey Pines Hall of Fame thing.
So is it for a career, for a season, for a game? Like, what is it?
I think for a season it's 600 something, and I'm at like 230, so I have to average like 10, which is
It's a lot.
it's a lot, but
It's doable.
it's really doable.
It's doable, yeah.
And scoring I have to average like 13 a game, which I can promise I'll average a little bit more than 13 a game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so it's just sort of like things that will cement myself into Torrey Pines like history, because I sort of want to be one of those guys that everyone's like sort of talks about afterwards.
Mm-hmm. That's something that I talk to my brother about all the time. I talk to my mom about all the time. I don't play sports anymore, so I'm not talking about with athletics, but I talk to my like people that like close to me all the time. Like, I just want to make history, bro. Like, I don't want to, and not like to like, for selfish, I guess it is selfish to say that you personally want to make history, but I want to not even necessarily make history like be in an official history book. I want to do something that lives forever. Mm-hmm. Like how like the Temptations have My Girl,
Yeah.
or like how then like everybody's always gonna watch Training Day. Like there's certain like people that have done things that are always gonna be here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I want to do something that like when my great grandchildren are here, they're like, yo, when Mike Rohn was here, that was dope. You know what I mean? Like I want to do something like that. I do. Anywho, enough about me. It's your interview. I appreciate you coming in, man. First two-time guest on the show. I appreciate you, man.
I really appreciate that too.
Absolutely, man. When I seen like I said, I had such a good time interviewing you the first time. I was like, as soon as he's got something else going on, I gotta have him back, man. This dude is funny. This dude is super cool. Gotta have him back. So I appreciate you joining me on the show again, man.
No problem.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to watching you guys play, man. You're I guess I won't give out my little preseason top 5 yet like I did last season, but you are definitely one of the people that I'm gonna have a close eye on. This coming season for sure. It's been another episode of On the Mic with Michael Flix. I appreciate you guys stopping in, checking us out. Tap in with me next week. Appreciate you.